Hello, my name is Josh. Welcome back to the Life Reset Collective. This is the YouTube channel where we empower people who need to reset their life, whether it be in one category or across the whole board. Today we're talking about a really important topic: how to rebuild your life after losing everything. And I have 9 points here that will guide you on the basic fundamentals of how to rebuild your life, where to even start if you've lost everything. This could be due to divorce, this could be due to losing a loved one, this could be due to losing your living space, losing your job, your career, and just having to reset, restart. My name is Josh. I help people to reset their lives. I have had to completely reset my life and restart from scratch twice, both times due to divorce. So I have some experience here. This is a judgment-free zone. We're here to be kind. We're here to encourage. We're here to give hope. So if that sounds like the place for you, then you have found the right place in the Life Reset Collective. So let's get started. I want to share my first point with you. Step number 1 is to stabilize your space and body. When the world is falling apart, the first lifeline is creating small islands of safety. Focus on tending to your immediate physical needs: rest, food, and environment. Even folding laundry or lighting a candle can be an act of reclamation. You don't need to fix everything right now, just make space to breathe. So this is usually the first step when you're going through a situation where you've lost everything. Maybe you've lost everything. Maybe that's a metaphor. Maybe you feel like you've lost everything, or maybe you've literally lost everything. But this first step of stabilizing your space and body is really crucial. After my first divorce, I ended up at first staying with family, but then I had to live in my car for actually several weeks while I was waiting for my apartment to come up. This was a very difficult time. I had to restart basically from scratch with money. I had to restart with living space. Everything had to get reset. And so for me, finding a space where I could feel stable to some degree was really a good first step. And I will admit that helped me to set myself up for success as I worked, saved money, moved into an apartment, and then began to get my life back on track. So listen, sometimes that's the step you have to focus on first. With that being said, the rest of these steps might not be in order. So just keep in mind that we want to hit all the steps generally, but they may not be in order, and you may cycle back around to different steps during the process. But step number 2 is reconnect with your body. Trauma often disconnects us from our own physical presence. Gentle movement, stillness, or simply noticing your breath can bring you back to yourself. Your body is not the enemy. It's your companion through this rebuild. Learning to feel again without judgment is the beginning of healing. This can look like a lot of different things. This can look like just doing a little workout every day. This could look like meditating every day. This could look like giving yourself time to not worry about things like, oh, my workouts got interrupted because of this huge life transition, or my diet is messed up because now I'm eating fast food. This is a time to stop judging yourself for those things. I want you to take care of yourself, but you're going to need to put food in your body. And it's really important that you do not judge yourself while going through this hard time. Reconnect with your body in an empathetic way. You can always find time in the future to get your diet back on track, get weight loss back on track. But for now, just get through your day and be good to yourself and be good to your body. Do the best you can with that. It's really important. This brings us to step number 3. Grieve and get clear. When you are going through a life transition where you have lost everything and you're starting completely over, that is a big loss. Loss demands to be honored. Make space to mourn what was, not just with tears, but with truth. Clarity comes when you stop pretending you're fine and let yourself name what has been broken and what has been lost. From there, the ground is cleared for what's next. Friend, don't act like everything's fine and nothing happened. If you're at this place, this is a very difficult place to be in. You've probably experienced tremendous loss. Please don't minimize that for yourself. Please feel free to grieve it and then also name it and get clear on exactly what has happened. You might say things to yourself like, here's what really happened. I thought I was in a stable environment, and then it just blew up in my face. Maybe that is the truth. Maybe that's how you feel. saying that out loud, naming it, and then allowing yourself to grieve it is an important part of this process. So that's going to come throughout the process. That doesn't have to be your main focus right now, but this does help us to get back to sleep at night when our brains and minds are racing, trying to make sense of why we have found ourselves here. That brings us to number 4, forgive and begin again. Whether it's others or yourself, forgiveness is a release, not a permission slip for harm. It doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to stop carrying what's too heavy. This is the doorway to a new chapter, not because the past didn't matter, but because your future does. Beginning again is a sacred act of courage. Listen, you don't have to forgive the people who wronged you right now. But through this process, allowing them to continue to live inside you in the form of resentment, bitterness, anger, this is going to keep them in your life. You may not be able to forgive yourself right now. You may feel like a failure. You may feel like you did bad things. You may feel like you made bad choices. Maybe your marriage ended, and now you're having to reset your life, and you think to yourself, if only I would have been a better partner. Trust me, I know this intimately. But through this process of starting over again with everything, having to start everything over again, it's going to be so important that you do forgive yourself and that you also forgive the other people. This is not going to happen overnight. I would tell you, don't pressure yourself to do this in one day. I know for a fact this is not going to happen in one day because I am intimately acquainted with this step and how difficult it is. But what I want to encourage you to do is just try to think about it. Maybe every day, maybe once every 3 days, maybe just once a week for now until you really start to get stabilized. This is a step that's better worked through once your life is stable again. That's why I say these situations, these steps, they're not going to be in sequential order. A lot of times you need to focus on like one step at a time for that chapter of reset that you're in. But keeping all these points in mind is important. This leads us to number 5. Take charge of your resources. This is actually a fairly early step in the process, but this is one you're going to keep coming back to, and for good reason. When you've lost everything, even your energy may start to feel scarce. This step is about reclaiming your time, money, energy, and focus, however small the supply. Learn to use your resources in ways that nourish, not drain you. You are allowed to choose what truly matters now. So, for example, I am really trying to, right now I'm literally going through my second divorce. It is not a fun experience. And while I did learn a lot the first time around, the second time around has its own challenges. A life reset, no matter how big, how small, is going to have challenges. So for me, I'm really trying to budget my money because I have a lot of steps coming up here in the next 6 months where I'm going to need money. So I'm also rationing my time. I've had to almost completely stop hanging out with friends. I've had to almost completely stop going out. I have had to put a hold on almost everything extra in life so that I can sleep enough to get up early enough to get as much work done as possible. I get as many hours at my job as they will literally allow me to. And then I have my own other projects. This is one of my projects. I have other projects that I work on. Some of them bring in some money. Some are more passion projects or projects that might bring in money in the future. The point is that is a crucial resource right now. Sleep is also a crucial resource I have, and my mental energy and focus is also a crucial resource. There are times when I shut my phone off because I literally can't afford to be having my ex call me and say mean things or whatever. I can't afford the energy. I just have to keep my gaze focused on the things I need to get done in order to get through this chapter of life. And I can't have people stealing my energy. I can't be wasting my money. I'm very I'm not judging anyone. If there are really good reasons to take yourself out for Chinese food sometimes. And then sometimes there are good reasons to say, I need to save all my money. I'm going to spend $4 cooking Chinese food at home instead of going out to eat and spending $24, right? So it's whatever chapter you're in, friend, I'm not judging anyone for a single thing. I'm just saying that there are times when, we need to really, really safeguard our resources from the external factors that could deplete them, because we only have so many. to work with. And if we manage them right, we will build our lives back up faster and better. And we will basically keep people or outside forces from taking too much from us that we need to rebuild our life. So that's what I'm saying there. This brings us to point number 6. Anchor into the sacred. Okay, now this one I will admit is a little new for me. This is something I've more recently tapped into, going through the second divorce assignment. And here it is. Whether it's prayer, nature, art, or silence, find what helps you remember that life is still meaningful. Even in the rubble, there is something holy. Anchoring into the sacred gives your soul a place to rest and just exist in peace. You don't have to believe in everything. Just connect to what feels real and good. So if you are religious, this might be the time to double down and really pray and seek the higher power. If you're a spiritual person, this might be a time to come back into a greater sense of spirituality and really lean on that. If you're not religious or spiritual, then you might want to do kind of what I have been doing, which is reading about many different ancient religions, gathering prayers from those religions and using those prayers to anchor yourself. Sometimes anchoring ourselves to the past, our past human ancestors, realizing that they were praying about similar things, they were going through similar things, and they made it. You know, this can be hope. This can bring positive reinforcement and much needed grounding into our upheavaled life. Okay, this could mean practicing yoga, communing with nature, maybe even something as simple as hugging your loved ones or your friends. Maybe this involves letting people know that you care. This might involve writing letters to yourself in a meditative kind of way. Whatever it takes, whatever it takes. And this brings us to point number 7. Reimagine what's possible. Once you've survived the fall apart, the question becomes, what now? This step invites you to dream again, not to return to who you were or the past life you had, because now those things are in the past, but to discover who you are becoming. Let imagination be an act of rebellion against despair. Possibility starts as a whisper, not a roar. So I dare you to dream. Dream about what you want your future to be. In those dark moments, if you're sleeping in your car and you feel like you don't even have enough money to make it to next week, you know, before you sleep, write down your dreams on a notepad. Write down, I want to have a beautiful home and a loving family, and I want to have a great career that makes me enough money that I don't have to worry about money ever again. And I want to have awesome pets and whatever it is. I want to dare you to dream about the future. Dream about what's possible, because this will give us hope. We need hope. When you're going through these difficult times, hope is so crucial. So I would just encourage you to cultivate that hope for yourself. This leads us to number 8. Reclaim joy and aliveness. Joy isn't a betrayal of your pain. It's a sign you are healing. Allow moments of beauty, laughter, and pleasure to return. This is about learning to live again, not just survive. Even small sparks of aliveness matter. You might want to go to a movie. Maybe you should watch a comedy special. Maybe you should hang out with your friends and just be a little silly. Give yourself time to feel joy. Sometimes when we're restarting our life, you can feel like you're in the grind constantly and that you don't have time to go do fun things or to do anything that takes away from those resources we were talking about a minute ago. But sometimes, friend, this is the time to go out and treat yourself to that $24 Chinese food, because that might bring you some happiness. And maybe this week, like today, maybe it's a Monday, and maybe you had a hard day at work. Maybe you had a hard day with your life reset, and maybe you need some happiness right now. So that might be a reason to go do that. And in doing so, that might reclaim some of that joy and aliveness. See, it's a balance. It's not all about grinding. It's not all about resource management, but those are a part. It's also about reclaiming joy and life back from the darkness. And that is going to bring us to our final point, point number 9. Build forward with rhythm. Rebuilding isn't a sprint, it's a rhythm. You don't need a grand plan, just consistent, soul-aligned steps. Let your days be shaped by what grounds and uplifts you. Slowly, steadily, a new life will emerge, rooted in who you truly are now. Build forward with rhythm means the rhythm is these steps. We're going to have to repeat them over and over and not in order. Some days you may face certain challenges, other days is another challenge. One day you may be trying to figure out where you're going to sleep. The next day you might be trying to figure out how to get past the guilt and the anger from your past. And then the next day it might be about how can I sleep feeling peaceful and not being plagued by nightmares and demons from the past. But looking forward, thinking, you know what, this is a new chapter. Not only do I deserve it, because you do, but I can achieve it. So I'm going to look ahead. We're going to take one step at a time. We're going to repeat with a rhythm. We're going to repeat the steps as needed. And just little by little, we're going to climb out of this hole. And before we end this video, I want to just really tell you something true. You might have a lot of shame about needing to rebuild your life from the beginning. You may have a lot of self-judgment. I don't know if you do, but you might. You might think to yourself, this is embarrassing. You might think to yourself, I should have known better. I should have done better. Maybe you lament some of the choices you made. If you're anything like me, I can be so hard on myself. I can think, my God, if I would have just did this and this and this, then I probably could have avoided all this trouble. But you know what? This is not a channel where I'm going to judge you or say you should have known or you need to learn these lessons. That's not what this channel is for. I have a feeling that nobody is harder on you than you. There's no reason to come to this YouTube channel to have someone tell you, oh, you should have known better. That's not the point. The point is, I want you to forgive yourself. I want you to believe that you deserve another chapter. And I just want you to take those small steps, one at a time, to get yourself to the new chapter. You deserve it. You deserve to be a new version of you. You deserve another chance at life. You deserve another chance at happiness. I want you to have that hope. I want that for myself. I believe I deserve that. I want that for you. I believe you deserve it. So let's go get it together. We can make it happen. Move forward one step at a time. Self-forgiveness. Follow these 9 steps. I'm going to put them down in the description so you can copy them and use them if you'd like to kind of keep track. But hey, let's make it happen. I'm Josh. This is the Life Reset Collective. Hit that subscribe button if you would like to continue checking out my videos in the future. Be well, my friends. Be well. See you on the next one.